Meanwhile, India Ratings has cut its outlook on non-ferrous metals to negative. The agency has cited sustained deterioration in metal prices as a key driver of possible rating downgrade. It has also raised concerns on weak demand growth and import pressures. To discuss this further, I am joined by Mahaveer Jain, Associate Director Corporates at India Rating. Mahaveer, thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to start, however, with what the Cabinet has done on the MMDR amendment. My first question is that how does it impact some of the non-ferrous players?
Yes, definitely has an impact as it does for the ferrous as well. So this improves the ownership, the transparency in the transfer of the ownership per se.
Do you expect this to trigger off some deal making? Because we were just talking about JP Associates and the cement sector. Have there been deals which have been held up? How do you see it planning out?
No, I do not cover cement and steel, so I would not be able to comment on that.
Not even non-ferrous. Okay, we'll leave it aside. Sorry for throwing that one at you because that is news. But you have revised your non-ferrous mining and metal sector outlook to negative. Take us through why there has been a downgrade from your end.
So we have a negative outlook on the sector, which is base metals, also on the ratings that we have on some of the names that we do rate. No surprise here, we all know China is 40-50% of the global consumption, and we expect Chinese GDP growth rate to decelerate to about 6.3% in 2016 as compared to 6.8% that it posted in 2015. So this would lead to a global surplus which would pressurize prices as well as margins. Domestically, again, we would see increase in the import pressure, and domestic players would also face price competition in exports. And this is despite the recent hike in the basic import duty by about 2.5% in aluminium as well as zinc alloys.
These are global pressures. Is there any hope of domestic demand picking up?
Globally, we expect the surplus to sort of correct in about 24-36 months. Domestically, if we see, there is surplus capacity. Aluminium, there is capacity which is 100-120% higher than the current consumption. That said, we are saying that the capacity utilization will continue to remain in the range of 50%. Having said that, what would revive demand probably in the second half of FY17 would be the government expenditure on infrastructure and revival of activities in mining as well as the power sector.
In aluminum, how do you see the supply demand adjusted in the local market? Do you see utilization levels falling even further since there is an overcapacity and demand will pick up only towards the end of the year?
Yeah, in aluminum, see, we are 1.5 million ton consumption a year, but our capacities would increase to about 3 million ton. Both Vedanta and Hindalco have installed new capacities in last year, and we have capacities that are to be commissioned this year as well. So there would be substantial surplus capacity, in the context of a weak demand globally.
Okay, fair enough. Zinc has seen a lot of action, Mahaveer, and that's been seen globally as one of the better metals or better off metals in the pack, and prices haven't fallen as much as the others. What is the reason behind it, and what are your prospects for zinc per se?
Yeah, zinc would be the metal which would, sort of bounce back much faster than say aluminium or a copper. Zinc is a much concentrated market, both in India and at global level. But contrary to the industry perception of zinc being in deficit, we believe that zinc would be in surplus in FY17. Two of the large mines which are expected to go out of production, one which is Lishin of Vedanta and another one would be Century mine which is of MMG Limited. Even despite of these two productions going away, given the weakness in the demand and given that 3/4 of the production goes into steel, We expect the zinc also to be in surplus in FY17. But having said that, this would be a metal which is better placed and would probably bounce back faster than the other two metals.
Tell me, a lot of companies in this space are very highly leveraged. Now, if you've gotten your rating for non-ferrous metals to negative, what are the repercussions on the companies per se? How does the corporate rating on some of these companies like Hindalco, Vedanta, Nalco, etc. change?
Yeah, we have taken some rating actions in the last 6 months. And the further rating action depends on where the price levels are. If the price levels are sustained below our mid-cycle pricing assumption, then on a case-to-case basis, we would look at how much time the deleveraging would take place, whether it would be beyond the expected time frame or not. And so that would be merely on a case-to-case basis. But having said that, we are also mindful of the fact that the industry has taken corrective measures in terms of, let's say, saving of cash, in terms of streamlining the working capital, cost control, and also in terms of suspending unprofitable product lines.
But have the downgrades in the corporate side adjusted to the latest downgrade on the non-ferrous side on metals and mining, or do you see that lot being adjusted further downwards because of this latest rating that you've done?
Yeah, as I said, we look at mid-cycle pricing assumption, and since these ratings are with a long-term view, we are not really bothered by a month-to-month or a quarter-to-quarter movement. So if we expect structurally there is a movement which could not correct with a particular time frame that we are looking at, only then a downgrade rating action will warrant. Otherwise, the ratings are, I would say, through the cycle.
Okay, so right now no changes in ratings. This is the last one on the non-ferrous side, is what you're saying.
I'm saying it would be looked on a case-to-case basis. On a case-to-case basis, we'll have to look at individual leverages and the liquidity situation. So per se, just from the metal prices, it would be difficult to sort of generalize whether we're going to take rating action on one or the other.
Fair enough. Thanks so much for that. Well, we slip into a short break now, but up ahead, what makes India Inc. so confident of growth going ahead? We speak to Bharati Gupta-Ramola from PwC on the takeaways from their global CEO survey, which has thrown up some interesting statistics on India. We come back with that.